Hello students, I am teacher Svetlana and in our today's lecture we will learn about the human nervous system, which includes the spinal cord and the peripheral nervous system, which is also called as PNS, which is covered in the chapter Control and Coordination. So let's begin. Spinal cord. Students, the spinal cord is the part of your central nervous system and forms the lower extensions of the medulla oblongata of the brain. Like the brain, it is covered and protected by the bony covering and membranes. It lies within the neural canal of the vertebral column and is surrounded by three meninges, that is the dura mater, arachnoid mater and the pie mater. Here, have a look at this image here. It gives you the entire overview of our spinal cord. The cerebrospinal fluid, that is your CSF, secreted by pie mater, forms a fluid cushion around the spinal cord and within it, inside the central canal. Students, externally, the spinal cord appears as a long cylindrical rod, 42 to 45 centimeters long and 2.0 to 2.5 centimeters broad. The spinal cord is broadest at its anterior end, gradually tapers into cornus medullaris, that is L1 to L2, and continues as a thread-like filium terminale end posteriorly. Have a look at this image here. You can see the spinal cord. Spinal cord shows two swellings along its length called as cervical and lumbar swellings. 31 pairs of spinal nerve arise from the lateral side of the spinal cord. Have a look at this image again. You can see that the spinal nerves all along the length of the spinal cord, 31 pairs of spinal nerve emerge. Now they consist of mixed nerves. So this is the split of the type of nerves that we have. 8 pairs of cervical nerves, 12 pairs of thoracic nerves, 5 pairs of lumbar nerves, 5 pairs of sacral nerves and 1 pair of coxial nerve. And the split is shown here in this diagram. Now these nerves are concentrated in the region of the cervical and lumbar swellings and around the cornus medullaris. The bunch of nerves in the hind part of the spinal cord along with the filium terminale appears like a horse's tail. So it is also called as cauda equina here at the end. Now students, let us take a brief overview of the TS of the spinal cord, which shows the following features. Have a look at this image here. This is the image of the TS of a spinal cord. Spinal cord is externally covered by three meninges, dura mater, arachnoid mater and pie mater. It is cylindrical but dorsoventrally flattened. It shows deep ventral fissures and shallow dorsal fissures. From dorsal fissures, there extends a thin sheet of connective tissue called as dorsal septum, which extends inwards. Can you see here in this image? You can see these parts. It shows a central space called as central canal. This here region is your central canal. The central canal is continuous with the fourth ventricle of the brain and contains cerebrospinal fluid. The central canal is lined by a single layer of epidermal cells. Central canal is surrounded by inner gray matter containing cytons or cell bodies of the neuron. So this, and you have two dorsal horns and two ventrolateral horns giving H-shape appearance to the gray matter. So this here is your gray matter. Can you see this H-shape structure that has appeared? Dorsal horns extend in the dorsal root while the ventral horns extend in the ventral root of the spinal nerves. Gray matter is surrounded by white matter which divides into three columns or furnicles on either side. These are the dorsal furnicle, the lateral furnicle and the ventral furnicle. Now students, let us have a look at the functions of the spinal cord. The spinal cord is the main center for most reflex actions. It provides pathway for conduction of sensory and motor impulses to and from the brain. It provides nervous connections to many parts of the body. Have a look at this image here. You can see the process of conduction of the electrical impulse to the central nervous system along the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, thalamus, and the somatosensory cortex. So how the transmission of the impulse is taking place. You can see a site of injury here. This the peripheral nerve, and this is the dorsal root ganglion, then the dorsal horn, and finally the impulse is following an ascending pathway, and the pain is sensed in the brain, and then we have the descending pathway which comes back. Students, it's time to look at the peripheral nervous system, PNS. The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system to different parts of the body having receptors and effectors. Depending on the connection to the central nervous system, the peripheral nerves are classified into two main types. The cranial nerves connected to the brain and the spinal nerve connected to the spinal cord. Let us see the cranial nerves. These nerves develop from the brain in all amniotes, that is reptiles, birds and mammals. These are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Roman numbering 1 to 12 is used to denote them. These nerves originate from or terminate into the brain. According to their functions, these are classified as sensory 1, 2 and 8, motor 3, 4, 6, 11, 12, and mixed 5, 7, 9 and 10 nerves. The details of the cranial nerves present in the human body is presented in table 9.12. Spinal nerves. 31 pairs of spinal nerves originate from the spinal cord. They are mixed nerves and they provide two-way communication between the spinal cord and part of the upper and lower limbs, neck and trunk. So students, as mentioned, the details of the cranial nerves present in the human body is presented in the table 9.12 and the number and types of nerves seen in the table 9.13. So you can refer to both these tables in your textbook. Now student, it's time to have a look at the peripheral nervous system, PNS. Each spinal nerve is formed inside the neural canal of the vertebral column. The dorsal sensory and the ventral motor nerve together forms the mixed spinal nerve. Have a look at this image. You can see this is the dorsal root and this is the ventral root which comes together to form the spinal nerve. As soon as it emerges out of the vertebral column, it shows three branches, which are ramus dorsalis from skin and two muscles of dorsal side. Ramus ventralis, the largest of the three, supplies the organs and muscles on the lateral and the anterior side. Ramus communicans, the smallest of the three and given out from the first thoracic up to third lumbar L3 spinal nerves. It joins the sympathetic ganglia. Have a look at this image. You can see it splits into three branches. This is your ramus dorsalis, this is the ramus ventralis, and this here is your ramus communicans. Students, however, according to recent studies, the extent of the peripheral nervous system has been broadened to incorporate the ANS. According to this view, the peripheral nervous system is divided into somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system relays impulses from the central nervous system to the skeletal or the voluntary muscles of the body. The details about the autonomic nervous system will be seen in our next lecture. Thank you students for participating in this lecture. See you soon again with the next topic. Till then, take care, be safe and keep learning.